Hey everyone out there, this is Story Dude, and we are here once again to read you some of the things that people are talking about on the internet today. Fiancé, 32 male, told me, a 32 female, to shut up in front of my parents. Ooh. Should I break off the engagement? My fiancé, a 32-year-old man, told me to shut up in front of my parents. My family was sitting around the table on my mom's birthday. We had plenty of drinks with dinner and continued on drinking afterwards. My fiancé actually started a tense discussion regarding a family issue with my aunt and uncle, and I desperately wanted to change the subject and felt very uncomfortable. My aunt and uncle said they were okay talking about the issue, but I still felt like it was an appropriate conversation for the time and place. Even though they were okay with the subject matter, I was still upset with what they were discussing, so I kept interrupting him and trying to change the topic. My parents were all for a subject change as they felt awkward too. He was still going on and on and on, and when I interrupted, he said it. It felt like he was shouting, "Can you shut up?" so that he could continue with what he was trying to say. My aunt, uncle, and parents were all pretty taken aback. Later on in the convo, our potential wedding plans were brought up, and I said, "I don't feel like talking about this to a man who told me to shut up in front of my parents." Everyone jokingly oohed and awed. He tried to defend himself for a moment and then apologized and groveled. I feel this is grounds for breaking up. I felt pretty disrespected, and I feel so embarrassed that my parents saw me get disrespected like that. I know it wasn't right for me to try and talk over him and cut off a conversation, but I'm not sure how I can marry a man that would say something like that to me, whether it's behind closed doors or in front of family. For added context, he has never told me to shut up, even during our worst arguments. TLDR, should I break off my engagement? My fiancé told me to shut up in front of my parents. Update. Since the subject of the inappropriate discussion is being asked, the topic was around A plus us close family member who is not speaking to them. Aunt and uncle's close family member is not speaking to them. He brought it up unsolicited and was trying to offer his advice without knowing all the details. Family conflicts like this are emotional and deeply personal, and since we're not involved, I felt it was out of line to bring it up out of nowhere and offer unsolicited advice. Before I could gauge how aunt and uncle were going to react, I panicked and asked him straight up for a subject change and asked if aunt and uncle felt comfortable discussing this. They said they were fine with it and said this offered them a fresh perspective, but I couldn't determine that until after I cut him off and asked for a different subject. That's when the shut up happened. I felt really protective of my aunt and uncle because they were getting emotional, so I didn't want to leave the room. At the end of the night, I apologized to them and they assured me it was all for good. So I definitely see how maybe I wasn't being fair to fiancé either. In the heat of the moment, I questioned breaking up, and I probably shouldn't have. I guess I'm confused on how to set boundaries and how to bounce back from this in our relationship while also not feeling completely humiliated for our behavior around my family. Wow. I mean, clearly it's not okay to tell your significant other to shut up under any circumstance. I mean, maybe there are a few, but it's like, it's one of those things that is really not nice to say, You try to avoid that. Then again, we see that the fiancé, also messed up by trying to discuss this. That was totally weird. Then again, the aunt and uncle were down with it, and you kept interrupting him. But, clearly interrupting him was not okay, but it doesn't warrant being told to be shut up. To be shut up? To be shut up? Anyway. So I think I'm going to go with OP is we're not even doing an am I the a-hole here. This is just like an open-ended thing. Well, I think OP, you're okay. I don't know how this relationship's going to work though. Not because of the shut up thing so much, but I think it's really weird that your would-be fiancé would just dive right in and try to discuss family stuff. And then it's also bad that he said shut up, but this all arose out of him being really weird in the first place. So I think we've got 2 red flags here from your fiancé. So that's my 2 cents. Let's see what people else are saying. I think that at least a very serious talk is needed, says W Rose 287. It was your mother's birthday dinner. There is no need to bring topics that make her uncomfortable. Wow, I forgot that it was the mother's birthday. That makes it even weirder. You said it was uncomfortable, and to change the subject, he pressed on it to me. This is disrespectful. Half of the people were uncomfortable. Most importantly, you were uncomfortable, and you decided to continue. Why? Yeah, I think, the shut up is bad, but is weirder is what was leading up to it, kind of. As a 53-year-old man, I would never tell my wife to shut up privately or publicly. Well, alter perspective, we do appreciate that here at Story Dude Productions. We try to be respectful. I think at the very least, you both need to have a serious discussion over the event. As you say, talking over and trying to cut off the conversation isn't on, and telling your other half to shut up is absolutely out of order. It may be that you can both agree to some rules in terms of giving each other space to speak. Yeah, then again, when someone's interrupting you over and over again, if you don't say shut up, what is the appropriate answer? It's like, please, may I finish? You can say that. How many times can you? I guess if you're with someone and they keep interrupting you and they are your love, and you got to just take it and stop talking for whatever reason it is, I guess. That's a tough one. I don't know what the answer is there. Yet, it was okay for you to persistently try to cut him off, even though the subject matters and an uncle told you they were willing to engage him. Why do you think you get to decide what he can or cannot discuss, but he cannot ask you to pipe down? He did this for a reason. His delivery was less than kind, but he's not the problem here. You were. You sound so blasé about your role in this. I mean, I think this commenter has a small point that, yeah, you were interrupting him and stuff, but clearly, as the previous commenter said, there was like many things that were totally weird about what your fiancé was doing, and it kind of justified you interrupting him. So don't really agree with most of that comment. I should have broken up with my boyfriend the first time he said shut up to me. Instead, I got married too quickly to him and endured years of verbal and emotional abuse. Only you can determine whether or not that's where your relationship is headed. But if you're thinking you should break up, take a long look at your relationship. Fiancé, 24-year-old woman, left me, a 23-year-old man, 4 months before the wedding. My fiancé left me 4 months before our wedding, and I am uncomfortable, I'm still in the last story. I am in complete shambles. She had been distant for about 3 weeks leading up to the breakup, so I thought I would ask her if something was wrong on Christmas Eve. At first, she claimed that she thought everything was normal, but after further conversation, she broke down and told me she didn't know if she wanted to do this anymore. We had been together since we were 16 years old and always had our ups and downs, but have been generally happy the last 2 years with minimal fighting. When I tried to question what I could do to try to fix it, she said there was no fixing it and that it would be difficult to come back from this. Mind you, when ending things, she told me that our relationship wasn't toxic at all and that it had nothing to do with how I treat her. She simply fell out of love with me. A few weeks after, I found out she'd been talking to another guy behind my back for about 3 months before the breakup. I'm honestly not sure how to feel about everything. I feel like I was robbed of my youth, college years, and this has just been a complete blow to my self-esteem. I truthfully never expected her to be one to do this, so I feel like I almost have no idea who the real her is. Does anyone have any suggestions with coping with something like this? All of my friends think I'm doing fine with it, but I feel like I'm going crazy inside. Wow, P, that is one sad story. And yeah, I mean, I think you're just going to feel bad for a long time. That's not good advice, but I think that's just what happens when someone breaks your heart. It feels terrible, but I mean, humans are resilient creatures, and we come back, and I believe that you will come back too. But I just feel that there's no magic solution to this. You didn't do anything wrong as far as we can tell, and it seems like your fiancé potentially betrayed you, and even if she didn't, she canceled the plans, and that's really rough. So I don't have any advice besides just be strong, and you will overcome. People change a lot between 16 and 25. My guess is you two shared many firsts. When it ends, it's difficult but not unexpected when a relationship starts at such a young age. I feel I was robbed of my youth. You are still very young. Give yourself some time to regroup and be open to a future with someone else. I think that's a good point, is that you shouldn't take this first serious relationship you had as a benchmark for your future relationships because you were so young and your heart was broken. But that's not usually how things pan out in life. And you should try to learn from this experience, but don't let this experience define you, if that makes any sense. Speculating. She started talking to the other guy as a passive way to not get married. She couldn't face the decision head on, so she sabotaged it. Don't take any of it personally. You are both so young. Try not to isolate yourself. Keep seeing your friends. Exercise is better than alcohol. Amen to that. I feel I was robbed of my youth. Why? You became adults together, made a lot of lasting experiences, and had quite some wonderful time with each other. That is something no one can ever take from you. Yes, it wasn't the happily ever after story you might have dreamt of, but this is something you'll always have to expect in a relationship, especially in one so early in your life. You both changed in those 7 years, a lot. Cherish what you had, grieve for what you've lost, and then find someone new. But never think that those years with her robbed you of something. I mean, I don't know. He could have been single in college. that could be quite a fun time for a young boy or girl. But hey, there's always grad school, and grad school is even more fun, so they say. When things don't work out with him, she will come back saying how much she misses you and now realizes you are the one she loves and wants to be with. That guy was just a friend. Don't fall for it. That's a good point. I mean, I never know about this. Do you let someone back in your life when they've hurt you? I'm a forgiving person. I would want to say yes, but no. Something tells me no. We don't know enough about this story, but it would be sad for the OP to finally start getting his stuff together, moving on, and then she comes back into his life and he just like does a 180. Yeah, as my grandfather always used to say, never circle back. But I never really followed that advice myself, but interesting that he would be saying that. You were not robbed. You took a risk and hoped for the best. You weren't robbed because all this time, each step of the way you chose her and the time you spent with her. You two breaking up doesn't invalidate how you felt all these years. You were not misled the whole time. You made your choice. Of course, now it sucks, but everything you've been through was your choice. It was taken from you, it was offered. I think he meant to say it was not taken from you, it was offered. I don't know. I don't understand what I'm reading sometimes. You didn't do anything wrong, and there isn't always a fight or good reason. Sometimes feelings fade away, and relationships that long, especially when young, are hard to break off. Do not torment yourself over why in details. Reality is, she fell out of love and wasn't strong enough to try and work it out. Apparently, they say that the earlier you get married after meeting someone, the higher the likelihood of the marriage lasting. And this, I feel, is just something I read somewhere, or maybe someone told me at a bar. I have nothing to back it up, but it's intuitively it makes sense that, you know, once you're married to someone, once you have kids and stuff, you don't have the luxury of falling out of love, really. For one, because you're so committed on so many aspects of your life. But two, these experiences give you a new basis for forming a new kind of commitment and love for each other. So it's kind of a self-feeding cycle of sorts. And if you just spend 7 years with someone and you're totally free to run out the door at any time, I mean, eventually that option's going to start looking really attractive. All right, rant over. I don't even know if that made sense. Oh, thank goodness. Saved by the bell, so to speak. This has been Story Dude, and we are here every day, almost. We missed a few days because I was sick, but we are trying to get back on track with our mission of bringing you that sweet, sweet, sweet internet content. So y'all take care. We'll catch you again soon.